Welcome back to another Vlogmas video. I thought today I could do something a little bit different than the other videos I've done so far. Today I am going to do a little bit of a podcast style video where you'll see that I am wrapping a bunch of shower steamers. I've got a few batches here that I need to pack up, and so as I'm doing that on the screen, I'm just going to talk through what I do to prep for a craft fair makers market kind of event. I have one coming up this weekend that I have done. This will be my third year doing it, which I'm really excited about because they were one of the earliest people to include me in a market. And when I had just launched my business, that market with them was like the biggest sales day I had ever had and really made me feel like not just legitimate, but like I could really make this a business. So they mean a lot to me, the people that run this event. They're a really lovely family who has this amazing space. I'll share a video later in the Vlogmas series of some just footage of the event and how beautiful this space is. If you're doing a market in a space that you've never been in before or for a type of event you've never done before, I think that a little research ahead of time, just really basic stuff, can help you feel more confident in the choices that you're making. So one of the first things that I would do is research the other vendors who will be present at the event with you. So most likely if you're doing a craft fair or a market or something like that, there's going to be a list of the vendors at the event, whether that is people being tagged on social media in a post about the event, or maybe there's a more formal website for the event where everyone is listed. And I think it's really helpful to get a feel for what the vibe of the other vendors is. You might see from an event that it is like a quirky vibe. A lot of the other artists have like very unique kind of stuff, or maybe it's heavily vintage things, or maybe it's all pretty high-end. Look not only at the style of the products that they make, but also the price points of their products, which you can also probably find by going to their website or their Etsy or wherever they might be listing their stuff. But I think it's really important to know what the other vendors will be selling because it most likely speaks to the kind of person who's going to be attending the event. Generally, people who choose to come to a market are choosing it based off of what they know about the vendors who will be there. So if it feels like a very youthful vibe, the products, not necessarily like the age of the vendors, but maybe the products are all really bright and colorful or really trendy, maybe they're smaller price point, you might consider that your audience will be a younger crowd. And because of that, younger crowds usually have less money to spend. So I would think about featuring products with a smaller price point. If it is a pretty luxury event, you might want to lean on the more expensive items in your arsenal, or you might even want to come up with some new gift set ideas that bundle your products together to get to a higher price point so that there's something to accommodate the type of shopper you're expecting to see. I just think that in general, researching the other vendors and knowing who's going to be there is helpful not only in deciding what products to bring, but also in giving you a little bit of an icebreaker when you meet the other vendors and introduce yourself to them. It's like in The Devil Wears Prada where they have that book of the faces of everybody who's going to be at the event so that they can like identify who's who and have that knowledge before even approaching them. It allows you to be less nervous about approaching people. I also think it's helpful to ask the host, whoever that may be, what they anticipate the attendance to be. Whether it is a ticketed event, they can tell you how many tickets have been sold and they can update you as you get closer. If it's not a ticketed event, but it's an event that's happened for multiple years, they probably have an estimate of how many people come to each event. And knowing that information, I think, is also helpful in terms of the quantities of your product that you're bringing and also any additional marketing materials you might want to bring. If you have business cards or postcards or just free marketing materials that you're going to have out on your table, I think it's good to know, are there usually 100 people in attendance or 1,000 people in attendance. That's probably going to affect how many of lots of things you bring, how many shopping bags you bring for people to bag up their items. It's definitely something that should be on your radar, and it definitely doesn't hurt to ask the organizer. I think if anything, it just makes you look like you're trying to be really prepared for a good event. When it comes to your display, like your setup, I think one of the things that really draws people's attention is free samples. Even as they're like slowly sort of walking by, if you can offer up a free sample, or obviously free samples are easy for me because making like soap, I can easily cut up soap into smaller sizes. If you are a ceramicist, that might not be as easy for you. So I say that knowing that that's not going to be a good approach for everybody, but just consider what might be a fun freebie that could go along with your products and is very easy or low cost, something that you wouldn't mind handing out to people as like a little commemorative piece. And just, it brings them over to your table and gets the conversation started. I also think that's something that really steps up the aesthetic of a display beyond your products and how you present your products is additional decorations. That could be something as simple as a vase of fresh flowers. I have had fresh flowers at some of my markets like during the spring and summer, and I feel like it just adds like a really beautiful quality. It looks more like a store. I think that it gives the idea of like a little, it just puts the idea of like a boutique vibe into somebody's head as they're walking past. I know it's an additional cost. Maybe you can find some really nice fake flowers or a beautiful display of like dried flowers that you can use repeatedly at different events if you don't want to buy fresh flowers each time. But I do think that something like that, or if you're closer to the holidays, I also love bringing some like little Christmassy or like holiday themed wintry knickknacks. So that could be as simple as like those little bristle brush trees, bringing those to sort of like scatter throughout your display, or maybe a garland or Christmas lights, but something that reminds people of the holiday or just like feels really festive. I think it just elevates the vibe of your display. It just shows that there's a little bit of like a custom element to this specific market, and it feels special and unique. And I just think it's pleasing to people's eyes, and it draws them over to you to see that you've done something a little bit above and beyond. Another thing you want to think about is, what will people be shopping for when they come to this market? I've said this before, when I was doing farmers markets, not this past summer, but the summer before, it became very clear to me that people were coming to the farmers market mostly for food. Even though there were vendors there who do not sell food, the people who were doing the best were the ones that sold food-related items. People were not there to buy candle tins. First of all, it's summer, so candles are not really a major seller anyway. Some people were there to buy soap, but my soap is a little bit more on the expensive side. There's a big focus on the packaging because I want it to be a really giftable item. But people who are showing up to a farmer's market to buy soap are maybe like showing up for someone who makes soap in their kitchen and is at a very reasonable price point because it has more of a farmer's market vibe. What's the vibe of the market, and what do we think people will be shopping for based on that? But also, are there any holidays coming up that people will be shopping for? Is it near Mother's Day? Is it almost Valentine's Day? Is it the holiday season? See if you can create some ideas for gift sets that amplify whatever occasion they may be shopping for. So if it's Mother's Day, how can you bundle your packages to make them a complete gift that feels like something that's only being offered at this market, something unique? Holidays, it's really nice to have, maybe you have a section that's for stocking stuffers because that's something that people are going to have on their mind. So keep the thought of what your shoppers are looking for in the back of your mind as you're displaying your items, as you're bundling them together, that sort of thing. You also want to make sure that your best sellers are featured somewhere. I always think it's really good to have levels, different heights on your display. And so make sure that your best sellers are really easy to find the minute somebody walks up to a table. They don't have to look around too far. Where will people's eyes naturally go when they first look at your display? Have your best sellers there, because you want to draw people in with whatever does the best for you product-wise. Another thing to consider is, will you be offering discounts at the market? And I think this can go a few different ways. Again, this is where it helps to do research on the other vendors at the markets. Sometimes if people will be offering discounts on their products, they will post about it on their social media accounts leading up to the event. And you want to be at least aware of what the other vendors are doing so that you can prepare yourself for either people being put off by you not offering a discount, or maybe it inspires you to find a way to offer discounted items. I've heard suggestions of buy 3 of an item, get 1 free. Again, this depends on what kind of products you sell, but maybe there is some market only pricing. So I've done this before where a product that is normally $25 on my website is only $20, but only at this market. It's another thing that creates urgency for people to buy at the event. One thing I will say to be sure of, if you are using some sort of POS system, even if whether it's on like a laptop or even on your phone, make sure that that is updated with any pricing so that as you're bringing things up, you're not scrambling to change the pricing to match the discounts that you're offering at the event. And the last thing that I think is really important that I am not great at, I'll be completely honest, but I wish I did it more because I do see positive results when I do it, is the post-event follow-up. So not only are you following up hopefully with people you met, like customers that you met, I think it's great to have like a notebook out or some way to sort of sign up for your newsletter. And hopefully if you get some people who have written down their email address or maybe used a QR code and signed up that day, it's great to send out a message to those people saying that it was so nice to meet them. Thank you for coming to the event and stopping by my table. Whatever it is, that is a really great personal touch to do for the individuals. And then I also think it's great to connect with other vendors you may have met at the event. Normally throughout the course of setting up the event or as the event's going on or wrap up, you do mingle with the other vendors. It's a great opportunity to meet other makers or crafters in your area. So I really do encourage it because for me, this has been a great way to start like collaborations or even just get together with people who know your struggles and are great to talk to and bounce ideas off of. I think it's just a really great thing to, right after the event, either follow them on Instagram and send them a DM, or if you know their email address, feel free to send them an email, but something that just is a quick, it was so nice to meet you, would love to get together for coffee, or whatever you think is the right next step. Do that within the week of the event being over, if you can. I think this is the reason I always have trouble getting this done, is because I sort of feel in a fog the week after an event, but it can be so beneficial to nurture those relationships, both with new customers and with new networking connections. So I definitely encourage that as well. I hope this video was helpful. I know there are a lot of people doing markets over the next couple weeks, and it is a great time to be out there and interacting with people. And although the holiday season can get kind of crazy, I really enjoy hearing that people are buying my products to give to other people for the holidays. It feels really special to me and it adds a lot of meaning to what I do. So I love holiday markets especially, but markets throughout the year, it is a lot of work, but I so often feel like it was absolutely worth my time and how can I do more of these? So I hope that you have a similar experience. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up so that I can reach other makers like you. Stay tuned for the rest of my Vlogmas series the rest of this month, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.